Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. My name is Gail Snyder. I'm the Executive Director for Dementia Friendly Fort Worth, and we are proud to offer this program with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available through a YouTube channel for future use by families and communities. And today is Cookie Conversations, and we are making chocolate chip cookies.
Wow, good.
So, Steve, you weren't here yesterday to hear the suggestions, but this is our recipe.
Oh,
sounds good.
So good. It makes me
Doesn't that look yummy?
Ooh.
It does, yeah.
Okay, so I don't have a source for this recipe because it's one that my son had, and we actually made it a few weeks ago. Last night when I was looking for my recipe, he said, well, we made that just a few weeks ago. So I pulled out the recipe, and then I compared it with a couple of others online, and the ingredients were pretty much the same with a few alterations. So we do have the option today that we can actually use dark chocolate chips.
Yay.
Love dark chocolate. We can use the chopped dark chocolate. We can use mini semi-sweet chips. And we can also do some with white chocolate chips.
I vote for the chopped chocolate.
You vote for the chopped.
Chopped dark chocolate.
The chopped dark chocolate. This one right here.
Yep. Well, whatever it says. Your picture is very small now because it's recipe still on the screen.
Let me stop this.
Okay.
So Janine and Steve vote for this. What about you, Nancy and Paul?
Hey, I go with whatever anybody wants. I'm just saying, cookies. My thing is to before my husband does.
Nancy, what do you like?
The dark chocolate.
The dark chocolate. Okay. And Janine, you said you like the chopped as well? All right.
I was muted. Either one of the dark chocolates is fine, but the bigger the chunks, the better.
Okay. All right. In that picture, it does look like the bigger chunks would work great.
Okay.
All right.
And of course, since you're making it for all of us, that's calorie free. That's the good news.
All right. Let's get started. So the recipe calls for putting our dry ingredients together first. And are y'all seeing me okay, or am I on small screen?
I'm seeing you big screen, but we won't be able to see you put the ingredients in.
Okay.
Okay. There you go. There you go.
A little better?
Thank you. Yep, that looks better. Thank you.
Okay. So my screen is the big one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the first thing we need is 2 1/4 cups of flour. And then we need 2/3 of a cup of cocoa. And they don't make a 2/3 measuring cup.
Yeah, I know.
Fill the 1/3 twice. That's 1/3. And there's 2/3. All right, and then we want a teaspoon of baking powder. Oh, not baking powder, baking soda. Good thing I looked at the recipe again. A teaspoon of baking soda. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt.
Sometimes don't you wonder if you just need a 1/4 teaspoon, why bother?
You know, I thought about that, but with salt, it does make a difference.
I know, but it just seems like, wow, the power of a
Or 1/8 of a teaspoon of something.
Yeah.
So now we
It's like a pinch, right?
yes.
Yes.
I actually have a set of measuring spoons that has a pinch.
Me too.
All right. Now we need a cup of butter.
But if you're a connoisseur, you don't ever use spoons to measure a pinch, right?
Say that again.
If you're a connoisseur cook, you never use a spoon to measure pinches.
No, you really
You
don't.
just kind of drop it in, you know.
I was at a baking store though, and I am one of those people that I love baking gadgets, so I had to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So I set.
Well, I'm just giving you, yeah.
I set this.
I'm just giving you a bad time, Gail.
Yeah,
So.
I know. I set this butter out a little bit earlier, and I'm going to soften it just a bit. So it will beat together better. Then we need 3/4 cup of sugar. And that's 3/4 cup of white sugar, because we're also going to put in brown sugar. Okay, we've got our regular sugar in. That's good. Just enough, but not melted.
You really have to do it now.
So there's our full cup of butter. And then we want 2/3 cup of brown sugar.
Gail,
Yes, ma'am.
to go to the doctor, so I'll be leaving the session.
Okay.
I wanted to let you know.
Okay.
Bye.
Are you,
Bye.
Thanks for being here, Nancy.
Bye, Nancy.
are you okay? Nancy, are you okay?
She's gone. So I don't think she heard you, Paulette.
I hope it's okay.
And I'm getting a grocery delivery here in a few minutes, so I'm going to probably be out of pocket for a little while.
All right. Well, you can leave us on and join us after your delivery. So now we need 2/3 of a cup of packed brown sugar. This recipe likes this 2/3 measurement, I think.
And that's the good brown sugar, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
By the way, what brand do you use for brown sugar? No.
Lots of times I get the store brand.
Okay.
I haven't really found a lot of difference. Have you
Okay.
found much difference?
No, I'm just curious, you know, because there's all sorts of
Yeah, no, that's
major brands too.
something that I usually just get the store brand. And then once we mix that together, we're going to add vanilla. So can you smell that butter and that sugar?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the last time we cooked or baked, I showed you something new that I picked up. I'm not sure if everybody is here, but I found Madagascar bourbon pure vanilla bean paste.
Okay.
We're going to be using the vanilla bean paste today, and it calls for a teaspoon. All right.
Did you say that had alcohol in it?
It says Madagascar bourbon,
No, okay.
but I think that's just the. It's kind of like when you have an oil and a scent in the oil. What do they call that? That part cooks away whenever it bakes. All right. So now we're going to add 2 eggs. And I'm going to mix that vanilla in. This is a very thick cookie batter, if I remember correctly, from baking it a couple weeks ago. And we've got both of our eggs in there. Now we're going to add our dry mixture of the flour and the cocoa, being careful not to turn the mixer up too high and throw flour everywhere.
That's no fun.
You want me to make a mess?
No, no.
Yes, I'd feel better. See, there are some 4-letter words that are really good, and when you're cooking and you make a mess is there. At that point, it's a good word.
All right. So now I'm going to give you a peek at what this looks like. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
We can.
It's very thick.
Mm-hmm.
Tastes good.
It does. All right, so now we want to put our chocolate in. And how about if we split the batter and do some with chocolate chunks and some with, let's make a second choice. What do you want our second choice to be? White chocolate or regular chocolate chips?
Let's do regular chocolate chips.
Regular chocolate chips. All right. But dark chocolate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody likes dark chocolate the best.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mix this up just a little bit more. All right. So now we're going to chop some of this dark chocolate into the batter. It says you want 2 cups of chips for the entire recipe.
What did you say, 2 cups of what?
2 cups of the chips,
Oh, chips.
what the recipe calls for.
The cherries, I was trying to figure it out.
So these will be chocolate chunk cookies.
Oh, my husband's gonna love these. Oh.
Now, who likes to add nuts to their cookies? Anybody?
Not really.
Not really?
No.
What about you, Paulette?
Either way works fine.
Either way?
Yep.
Janine, are you getting your groceries right now? Are you here?
She's on mute, so.
Yeah. She may be meeting her grocery delivery. All right, I don't quite have a cup, so I'm going to go to the pantry to grab some more chocolate bar. I'll be right back.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that was 6 squares that I added already, and I'm going to add 2 more. This dark chocolate smells really good.
I'm back.
Okay.
I really hate it when the grocery delivery people come early.
What time are they supposed to come?
Between 11 and 1, and I was hoping for more like noon, but they came at 10:45 instead.
Yeah, but look at the good side. Your stuff is fresher.
All right. So now we have a cup of dark chocolate chunks to add to the first part of our batter. And that wants to melt in my hand. So
They're not M&Ms.
It's not M&Ms.
Nope.
So, Janine, we decided we are going to do half of it with dark chocolate chunks and half of it with regular chocolate chips. And while you were away, I was asking everybody, do you like nuts added to your cookies, or do you like it without nuts?
Without.
Without.
Thank you, Janine. I know I liked you.
See, my preference is to add nuts to it. Okay, so we're going to add almost a full cup of these little chips into the other batch and stir this together to incorporate those chips, and every bite is going to have chips in it. All right. Move some of my stuff out of the way. Now we are going to put those cookies onto the baking sheet. And see how they turn out.
Well, I know one thing for sure. If you made them, they're going to be fantastically delicious.
I think you've become a little bit prejudiced about that at this point.
That's okay.
Okay, so for this batch, I'm going to do half of the sheet with the chunks and half of the sheet with chips. And we'll see what the differences look like when they come out. See some big chunks of chocolate in these. My son says I need a new cookie scooper because it doesn't always want to work.
Needs a little bit of WD-40 on it. Grease it up.
That might help it. I don't know.
But put a little bit of ham on it before you.
That might be a good idea.
WD-40 is just as people don't realize that it's just as sanitary as ham. As far as it doesn't hurt you.
Even though it has that terrible smell?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt you. They use it in cleaning industrial kitchens.
Mm. That last one really didn't want to come out. All right. So we have our baking sheet full of the cookies ready to go in the oven.
Okay.
You know, some four-letter words are really good, and bake's one of them.
Paulette, you've got a lot of them. Thank you.
Somebody forgot to hit start
Uh-oh.
oven. So the cookies
Uh-oh.
delayed just a few minutes. So we'll go ahead and get another batch on the pan ready to go.
I can't imagine who that was. Somebody must have snuck in.
Well, my oven has this thing where you set the time, but you have to hit start or it won't turn it on.
Yeah, I know. Ours does the same thing, but still,
There's always a catch.
Me too. And I forget to hit start sometimes.
The little kitchen gnome actually came in and turned it off while you were over making the recipe.
Okay, so I'm going to stop and grease. Try your idea, Steve, and see if it makes this better.
Okay.
Because this scoop now,
Hopefully it will. We'll see.
you use it for a few minutes and then it doesn't want to work.
Yeah. Kind of like ice cream scoops.
There you go.
Yes.
Ice cream works better if you use hot water on the scoop.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If you don't,
and rinse it off between dips.
Right. If you don't do that, it really gums up and sticks onto it. So that's
like what they do at Brahms whenever they scoop it and then they put it in that running water.
Yep.
That's where I learned that trick. That was my first job, was working at Brahms.
Working at Brahms. My sister, just younger than me, actually worked at Brahms when she was in high school.
All right, let's see if it works.
It does.
Yay.
So much better. Can you see?
I have a good idea every once in a while.
Every once in a while. Let's see how it does on the second one. Better. All right. We just improved our process. So my younger sister, she worked at Brahms for a while, and then she worked at a place called the Nifty Nut House. Do y'all remember those? There are stores at the mall, and they had all kinds of candy. Oh, it only lasted for 4 scoops.
Well, at least it lasted for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Nifty Nut House had all kinds of candy and nuts, and you could buy fancy containers with the different kinds of candies in it, and you could buy flavored popcorns.
I don't remember that place.
What about the candy counter at Montgomery Ward's?
Nope, I didn't go to department stores.
I remember the pennies,
Well, when I was,
particularly the nut counter at Pennies. I remember that.
did they have just nuts or candies too?
Mostly nuts. They had peanuts and all sorts of different nuts in it. It was the center of the store. So you had to go through all the store to get to it, you know.
Yeah.
And that was my kind of the treat. I'd have to go with my mother shopping, and she'd buy me a little nickel bag of peanuts.
When I grew up in Oklahoma, and when we used to go shopping at Montgomery Ward's, that would be the treat.
Yeah, yeah.
My mom's favorite candy was the maple nut goodies,
Okay.
and it's one of my favorites now, but we would only get like maybe 4 or 5 candies total.
Yeah.
Is all you
Yeah.
would get because it was expensive. But it
My
was
mother didn't buy, she'd buy nuts. She wouldn't buy me candy.
My mother wouldn't buy me candy either.
I had to buy candy out of my own pocket.
Now, my mother,
that was one way to control how much candy you ate.
Well, you know, it wasn't too bad because those are the days where you could exchange soda bottles,
Mm-hmm.
and you the same place you exchanged it, we had the candy. So you just exchange the bottles and buy the candy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go around and collect the bottles.
One summer, my sister and I collected aluminum cans, raising money to go to camp. We went all over the place. And then for whatever reason, the sister that we collected the cans, I guess she wasn't old enough, and she
Oh,
didn't
no.
go to camp. My other sister ended up going.
Oh my.
This is a full batch of the ones with the chocolate chunk chips in it.
So when she was old enough to go to camp, she expected you to collect her, right?
I don't remember what happened with that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sounds like your oven door might need some WD-40.
Yes, I was just thinking that.
Sounds like a typical oven door, though. Most oven doors do make that noise for some reason.
Mine doesn't that I know of, and I think I would notice.
Mine probably makes that noise from overuse. Because I probably use my oven more than a lot of people. I even have a toaster oven that I use, but it doesn't get quite as hot, so it takes things, or it doesn't seem to get as hot, so it takes things a little longer.
well, that's all we have is a toaster oven.
All right, I'm going to switch scoops. This other scoop is a little bit bigger, so I can't fill it as full.
I wonder if a silicone covered scoop would be better.
Well, I had one that was plastic and the bottom of it was silicone and you could actually
Yeah.
punch it out,
That's out. Yeah.
but it got to where it would stick too.
Okay. Well,
So,
good ideas, right?
good idea, it's just not always perfect.
Always a catch.
This one's working better though. It's just a little too big. I
Oh,
guess my son's right. It's time to buy a new scoop.
You can't have a cookie that's too big.
Especially if it's dark chocolate.
Yeah, there, see?
My family has a chocolate cake recipe where the recipe actually says 2/3 to 3/4 cup of cocoa, and I always use 3/4.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
And you were talking about mixing and throwing the flour everywhere.
Mhm.
When I made my first cake, chocolate cake, this family recipe, I was 13 years old, and I had seen my mom and my grandmother make cakes for all my life. And when they finished mixing with the hand mixer, they would raise it out of the bowl and while it was still running. So I did the same, but I didn't realize that they turned the speed down first. So I threw chocolate everywhere.
Well,
Cute story.
when I was in high school, I was in home ec, and I came home and tried all the recipes that we were learning in home ec. And my mom gave me the nickname of Betty Crocker. And so she used to call me Betty Crocker. So that buzzer you heard is telling us that the oven has reached the temperature that I set it on. So now those cookies should start to bake.
You have one of those original Betty Crocker cookbooks?
I don't know that I have the original one, but I have several versions of the
Because
Betty.
I know the new ones are not the same as the old ones.
Well, let me show you something since you brought that up.
I have the Better Homes and Gardens red plaid one.
I used to make my own pasta.
Wow.
3 Betty Crocker cookbooks,
Yeah.
and they're
Oh,
all a little
those
different.
are the same one. That's the one I have.
This is the one you have? Oh, it is Better Homes and Gardens. Well, this is the very first one that I got as a wedding gift, but it was a paperback. And I lost some of the pages because it was coming apart. And so I hunted at garage sales and half-price books until I found one that was in a binder that was the same edition.
Mhm.
Because there are recipes in this one that were like family favorites that are not in the newer books.
Right. Yes.
And let's see, I think it's page 56.
Her name is Diane.
No, let's see.
No, her last name.
Somebody just called a few minutes ago.
I answered that one.
Oh, okay.
In my original one, you could almost turn to some of the favorite pages without looking.
It fell open, right?
It fell open to the page.
Right.
That's what you want to watch for.
Well, you're gonna be here. Robert,
What?
you're here.
Trying to find.
I was going to try to go for a walk.
I thought you went already.
What?
I thought you went.
I know, I just waited to see if she called. She didn't call. I can't wait.
This one here, it doesn't have the picture, but this devil's food cake,
Mm-hmm.
in my original one, it has a picture of it, and it was my kid's favorite cake, and that page was a mess. So I replaced it with the new one. But this one is oh, maybe it's this other one. Oh, here it is. I had the wrong one.
I put my,
Here, this is the original one. I've had this one. We got this one as a wedding gift. And the pages that I've used are really a mess.
I put my recipes on index cards. The family recipes that we use all the time. And my chocolate cake recipe is almost entirely chocolate now.
This is the recipe that my kids always wanted for their birthday cake. But in the original, I replaced these pages with the newer book because these pages were quite a mess in the original. The majority of this is the original one that was paperback, and I found the same edition in a spiral, and so I switched out some of the pages. So, but lots of family recipes from that.
I learned a lot about cooking from that cookbook because it has tons of helpful stuff in it.
It does. Let me check on those cookies in the oven.
I look horrible.
Oh, you do not. Beautiful.
We are going to have cookies out of the oven in just a couple of minutes. They're looking really good. Nice and chocolatey.
Wish we could eat them warm.
Yes. All right, let's go over to the oven. I think they're almost ready.
We had some of those Better Homes and Gardens, but we also have this Betty Crocker book.
I remember that one.
Okay. This one is an 81 edition, or printed in 81, sixth printing in 81. I think a lot of the recipes stayed the same, you know, but the modern ones are not the same. A lot of the recipes have changed, you know. Basically because the ingredients that they use, you know. First time my wife ever made brownies from scratch is when we lived overseas, because that's all you could do. You couldn't buy anything. So she used Betty Crocker brownie mix, you know, made her herself.
My original book also has a copyright date of 1981.
Yeah. And the older ones, like, use things, I remember, like cream mushroom soup and things like that.
Right.
Some of the newer ones don't use.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So we have cookies out of the oven.
Ooh, looks good. Smell good.
Smells good.
Yep.
You smell that?
Looks good.
I didn't
Absolutely.
receive my scratch and sniff sheets.
You know, there was another great cookbook called The Joy of Cooking.
Yes, my wife has that too.
Yeah, I used to use that.
So I'm trying to break this open so you can see, and they're a little bit soft because
Yay.
it's warm.
Yeah.
But it looks yummy on the inside and full of chocolate.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's part.
Something chocolate will do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the big pieces of the chocolate in the cookies.
Looks good.
This one here has a great big chunk of chocolate right there.
I see there, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that how you like it, Janine?
Yep.
All right.
when we lived overseas, the older cookbooks were better because you had to make everything from scratch.
Right.
They taught you how to make it from scratch. you know.
Yeah.
There was nothing, they didn't assume anything. They tell you exactly what you needed to do.
That's what I like about that Better Homes cookbook. It even has a page that shows you pictures of the difference between diced and cubed and minced and
Right, yeah.
that kind of stuff.
I like to make broccoli rice casserole. My husband really enjoys that, but it's hard to find a recipe that doesn't use cheese
Cream.
whiz and
Yeah.
cream of mushroom soup.
Yeah, cream of mushroom soup. I would think that would be part of it, but cheese whiz, really?
Remember those jars of the cheese that they used to have? It's really hard to
Yeah.
find now. Some of the recipes use that.
Yeah. I don't think Sue ever used the cheese. She used the cream of mushroom soup, but never the cheese.
I still use cream of mushroom soup for like crock pot chicken and roast and stuff like that.
One of the biggest disappointments with the soups is when we were first married, Campbell's had a zesty tomato soup that had tomato chunks and some extra spices in it.
Right.
It was one of our favorites, and they stopped making it.
Oh.
Now, all you can get is the plain tomato soup. And I hunted and hunted, but I guess it's one of those that they weren't selling enough of it and they stopped making it.
I actually switched from the cream of mushroom to cream of celery in the last few years. I like it better.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you can like the taste of mushrooms, but not the texture.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like I don't mind the taste. I don't like the big chunks of mushroom.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't stand that.
Mushroom I like.
Yeah. But if it's little pieces, it's all right. The flavor's all right, but just the big chunks I cannot eat.
So have I told you my funny story about mushrooms?
I don't think so.
So
If you have, we forgot.
Yes, tell it.
Paulette will know this place, the big farmers market in St. Louis.
I know the farmer's market. Yeah, I've been there.
So we went there with some friends on a Saturday, and we were young marrieds. We didn't have either one of our kids yet. And we were walking around. You know, it's hard not to want to buy everything because everything at the farmer's market looks so fresh. And we went by a stand that had fresh mushrooms. And my husband does like mushrooms. He used to like me to make a Salisbury steak type with a gravy and mushrooms. And so he decided, we saw the mushrooms. He says, why don't we get some of those? I said, okay, how many you want? And he says, well, why don't you get a pound? And when I told
Whoa.
the person behind the counter that I wanted a pound of mushrooms, you should have seen the look on his face. And so here we are with this paper bag, you know, those little lunch bags, and it was packed full of mushrooms. And so we decided that was too many mushrooms to buy, and he had to eat mushrooms on everything for a long time because we had mushrooms that we didn't know what to do with. And so it was mushroom everything. Mushrooms aren't my favorite, but he ate lots of mushrooms.
I'm glad he liked the mushrooms.
But that by the time that was over with, he didn't want mushrooms for a while.
I imagine so. Yeah.
But when our kids were little, since we've been here in Texas, we used to go to the Dallas Farmers Market, especially when his parents would come to visit. And we would buy a flat of strawberries and bring them home and clean the strawberries. And then we would have strawberries and pie crust with whipped cream for dessert. That's a favorite family treat.
I like strawberry shortcake.
Yeah. Well, I guess because it was quick and easy, it was a quick and easy way to have desserts in the summer. His mom used to make pie crust, and she wouldn't put it in the pan and make it look fancy like she was going to bake a pie. She would actually put the pie crust on the outside of the pan, turn it upside down, and bake it, and then break it off of that and put the berries with the juice on it, and it really is good. It has a different taste than strawberry shortcake.
Yeah. The pie crust.
So our second batch is in the
Pie crust. It's hard to beat a pie crust.
hard to get pie crust. So this is our tray, a freshly baked chocolate chunk, and the ones on this end are the ones with the mini chips. And you can see the mini chips all throughout it. And it's still amazing to me that the chips don't just completely melt.
Yeah.
All right. So that concludes our cookie session on chocolate chip cookies. So
Right.
let's see what we have for tomorrow. Tomorrow we will have Texas Winds musical outreach with a group called Prevailing Winds that includes a oboe, a clarinet, and a bassoon.
That
Wow.
sounds great. Yeah.
It does.
So we'll look forward to that tomorrow at 10:30. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm going to be in the kitchen finishing off the cookies this afternoon.
Thank you, Gail. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Y'all have a
Everybody,
great
good day.
day.
Bye.
Bye.
Sure got it off to a great start. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.